Welcome to another episode of Unpacking. Tonight we delve into the topic of the horrendous COVID-19 and pandemics. Overall, we'll be discussing tonight the use of vaccines, the new strains, normalcy, work at home, and social distancing. As said before, the point to note here is to agree to disagree. And all that we say here are our opinions and not all proven facts. So now that I've said that, guys, how are we feeling about what's been going on with the COVID-19? How are we feeling about getting back to normal? What's truly getting to you guys about this?
I mean, what's getting back to normal? We've been on lockdown for almost over a year now. I don't think there's any way we're ever going to really get back to normal. I mean, people are walking around in masks all day, like it's some kind of, I don't even know what to call it right now, because the masks are not becoming, because I want to protect myself. It's more like sport at this point in time. I have to be trapped in my yard because I can't go anywhere because of this damn 8 o'clock curfew. So yeah, it's just overall annoying at this point in time, but to deal with it. What say you, Josh?
COVID for me it's been okay. It has its benefits. I see less people. I wasn't much for the road to begin with, so the curfew has not been much of a problem. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by mask. I know becoming somewhat for sure. They're necessary, and if only people would wear them, probably it would help with the decrease. And if persons would obey the orders put in place, it would help with the flattening of the curve. I am with the government on this one.
Okay, all right. Well, with that being said, we can just definitely jump into that. Absolutely. All right. Now, you said that you don't get what he means by masks being whatever it is that you said about them being extreme sport or whatever it is. Why is it that you don't agree with wearing masks, Alex? Why don't you agree with wearing masks?
I don't agree with wearing masks. I'm just saying the mask has become it's not only to protect yourself at this point in time. It has officially become a fashion statement where people are wearing some very ridiculous masks that really don't protect anything.
Okay, so you basically you're saying that they've been using the use of masks to, basically not the intended use of it. That's essentially what you're saying.
Exactly. That is exactly it.
Okay. All right. So Josh said that he's with the government on this one. He did say that. What steps do you believe can be taken to flatten this curve effectively, Josh? What would you say about that?
Well, they have started. At least I was at St. Joseph earlier today, St. Joseph Hospital earlier today, to see a long line of persons waiting to receive their first shot of the vaccine. And testing is it's available, though you have to wait a mighty long time. At least you leave there, in a couple of days after doing the test, you know whether or not you have the virus, and you can take it from there. Outside of that, go ahead.
No, man, go ahead. You finish the Wednesday. Go ahead.
Right, outside of that, whilst it's not a lot of money, I must commend the government for the assistance that is being given to persons. I have heard and have seen persons receiving funds. I know it to be true, and I know that it has been of significant help. May not be a ton load of money or anywhere close to the stimulus checks that the US citizens are getting. However, it's Jamaica, and
are you referring to the $10,000 stipend that they're giving people?
10,000? I thought it was 1,400. I'm not sure. Oh, you're talking the Jamaican government? You're talking the $10,000?
They're actually giving $10,000 to those that are over the age of 65 years old. Now, you see, my problem with that is, you're giving people the AstraZeneca vaccine, which currently at this point, how I look at it is you're taking the Jamaican people for guinea pigs. The vaccine itself is already still banned in several countries because they have not fully tested what are the effects of this vaccine. You already have people out there that are reporting after taking the vaccine is either they're experiencing fainting spells, bleeding, and all sorts of other things. I mean, if
All
you're
right,
going
Alex. All right, hold on, Alex. Stick. All right, go ahead. Finish your point.
Now, I was going to say, if you're going to be giving this to an elderly citizen and then offering them $10,000 in the event that, something happens, remember, this is the elderly. Anything in their system at that point in time can cause very, very serious repercussions. So, can either lead to them having to spend days, weeks, months in the hospital, or even worst case scenario, death. What is $10,000 going to put that into?
I'm not sure I follow, because all right. So I heard what you said, right? And
Alright, before you jump into that, Josh, you said something earlier about vaccines being readily available, so our listeners can have a proper understanding exactly how much the vaccine is available to Jamaicans right now.
So they are doing the persons who work for like KSAC. They're doing persons who are 75 and older, or was it 70? Well, the elderly and some government workers. As of the next phase, BPO industry persons have been included, as well as construction workers, and then the wider elderly group being from 60 years old. And of course, they're trying to also ensure that persons working in the health sector are also vaccinated. I received an email earlier today from the health center that I use, making known that if you have any of those conditions, the respiratory problems, and if it's on file for you that they have treated you for this, then you would be bumped up on the list, so you would be able to get the vaccine. You should just respond in the email. They'll review your file and then call you in, set an appointment and call you in to come and get it. So there are measures being put into place, and we're to get a larger amount of vaccines in the next couple of
How much
weeks.
do we have now?
I believe it's just under 100,000, if so much, and the next one should be 500,000, and the population of Jamaica stands about 1.4 million. So we should, if we continue along that same stead, should reach herd immunity before summer or in summer. So
okay, so you said something also about how it takes 3 days for these test results to come back. Do you believe that the lack of urgency on this is probably what is making this particular rollout ineffective?
I don't think it's a lack of urgency, to be honest. If what I have found to be true, and it is so sad. Many of us are ungrateful, and we find everything to complain about. Now, here's a government, because know that in private labs, if you want your results to be faster, you have the option of going to a private lab. You're going to have to fork out between $8,000 and as much as $20,000, right? You have the option of getting it for free. So many persons, of course, where freeness exists, is folly to resist, and so you go and you get it for free along with many other persons. Now, if we rush the results, there is the very high likelihood of there being issues with the samples. There is a process, and there are many persons that the swabs are being tested for. So the service level agreement time was 24 to 48 hours before when it first started. With the uptick, they have now said 3 to 5 business days. It is better to manage the citizenship the expectations of the citizens, as opposed to tell them, 24 to 48 hours, and then the 2 day pass, and of course everybody gonna hit the news and everywhere else talking about the government is slack, the government is this, the government is. They're doing their best. They are doing their best. Of course, yes. In everything there could.
I mean, one point of what you said, one point of what you said is definitely true. We like to complain a lot. We never necessarily take responsibility for what our actions are. And yes, we do have the option to go and have it expedited in a private lab, but I think it really comes back around to money. You said it's folly to resist whenever something is free. Do you believe that the integrity of what is free here amongst us is something that we should trust? What would be your statement on that?
The service is poor. It's piss poor in terms of some of the nurses lack customer service, some of even the doctors lack customer service. But these are overworked public sector persons, health people who are putting their lives at risk to see to the well-being of others, and some, if not most, are underpaid and overworked. So taking that into consideration and being empathetic towards them, and some Jamaicans are not easy to deal with. They're assholes, right? So they rub you the wrong way, and you're dealing with a multitude of people. So the experience may not be good, but I trust the process that we have had labs that have international standards being met. So it's not a thing of it's rushed, or you can't trust whether they tell you you're negative or positive. Even the numbers that we're seeing, we have been very, very transparent when it comes on to the reporting. Unlike the US under Trump's admin, we have been very, very transparent. We even hit news overseas to say that we have one of the second largest amount in terms of the population per capita of COVID cases. I think it was in New York it got broadcasted, right? Because we're being honest, and people are not taking this thing seriously.
No, we're not. So to that point about taking it seriously, right? You said about doctors being overworked, nurses being overworked. To point to Alex, right? What do you think we can do as a nation? Because this is a pandemic, like we said earlier. What can we do as a nation to ensure that we can take this seriously in terms of the resources that we have? What do you think are certain steps our government could take to alleviate what we're currently going through? Because as you said before, or sometime before, the stay-at-home order is it's becoming a bit too much. So what would be your opinion on that? How do you think we could improve from the state that we're currently in?
I mean, the stay-at-home order itself is fine. I mean, you can definitely say non-essential travel is not necessary. Yes, we can understand this. But if you have people that are running up and down from, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., it is no different. From Monday to Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., everybody is going about doing their daily business. People are still going to be running up and down, getting everything that they need to get. The fact is, if you take other countries, for example, as a primary example, I'm going to use, I'll use Canada. I'll use Cayman as an option at this point. If you look at Cayman's response to the COVID-19 situation from it started up until this point versus what we have done, I understand Cayman is a very small island, first of all. As much as we make most of our money from the tourism sector, Cayman has closed their borders for the entire duration of this. And the cases in Cayman are I can probably still count on one hand the amount of cases that you've had in Cayman. And that case came from somebody that came into the island, which is why they decided to close all borders after. I can understand going out and say, all right, social distancing, fine. That is perfectly fine. I'm very much happy with what the government has put in place with the social distancing protocols. The fact that, all right, all surfaces need to be wiped down. And you notice this in every building that you go to. If you go to the supermarket, you go to the business at the tax office, wherever, you always see people coming in periodically to wipe off the surfaces, wipe off the chairs. For this, you have to make sure that you sanitize wherever you are, wear your mask inside buildings, especially when you're grouping up. That is perfectly fine. At this point in time, I'm just really not seeing the need. Why is it that you're trying to say, all right, we're going to keep cases down, but we still have borders open? What's the sense in having a daily curfew at 8 o'clock and the cases are still climbing?
Might I interject?
Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I've just said excuse, yeah.
All right, so the one thing that I would say, when we first got reports that, COVID is in Jamaica back in March, we would have been hearing of this virus and we would have known that it got to the US. And once it got to the US, it was almost inevitable that it was going to get here. Because anything that happened in the US seemingly happens here. Besides domestic terrorism. We haven't gotten to that point just yet. Anyway.
No, we're not good for that. No.
I agree wholeheartedly that we closed the borders too late. One, and then when it was closed, it caused a riot almost, and you heard all of the social groups coming out to say you can't be locking Jamaicans out of the country and all the rest of it. There was an outcry, right? And the Prime Minister tried his very best to appease everyone, and that's where the problem started. We closed the borders late, and then we started to take back in persons on a case-by-case basis, citizens, to come back home. Right? And you had persons coming here who are supposed to be quarantining and supposed to have this app tracker on their phone, and they leave the phone at home, get another phone and out there, and they know that they are not well. So they come for 1 week, of course. Your funeral they come for. If it's 14 days quarantine and you're only here for 1 week, how that makes sense? So they should have never been allowed to come in any at all. Then we start.
All right. When you were saying that, right, Josh, about people getting another phone and all that. Before you say your next point, right? Before you say your next point, to people who are guilty of doing those things, what do you should be the reprimand for people like that?
I mean,
that they would have been actively threatening other people's lives.
Already gives you what the reprimand is. If you go into the app itself and sign up that form that they give you, the government does mandate that if you are caught doing this, there are certain consequences to this. Besides a fine, there's other consequences. You will be served in prison time most likely.
None of that has occurred, and that's the issue that I have with it. You say that, hey, here is the problem.
Whose problem is that? You clearly know that this is a loophole in your system. Whose fault is that? You, as the person who created this app, was supposed to follow up with these people, making sure, because if they're not answering them phone when they're supposed to check in, at the time that they're supposed to check in, clearly you know that they're not at home or they're not around the phone. What is the next step from that? What is the next step for you to do at that point in time as the government?
Both entities are to be blamed. I was speaking to a friend of mine.
Both entities are to be blamed, yes, but I'm still saying, as the government, you're trying to curb something. What is your next step if you realize that you have this breach in protocol?
I'm
asking this question to all of you. What would you, as the government, or what would you, as a sane person, a logically thinking person, would think the next thing you're supposed to do?
Tamarind Farm, GP, Horizon, none of those places would have space left.
Really and truly, I'm not talking about the space,
Right? They
you
would
need
have
to
been
capitalize and make an example. First of all, if you know that this is happening, you're supposed to be able to track this in your app information anyway, that people are not picking up. So what you're supposed to do is send out an health official to go and investigate what is going on here.
Yes, see, all of this is industrious behavior. We tend to just do things for face value. We are not really so proactive when it comes to anything, or we are lazy when it comes to reprimanding what needs to be reprimanded. That's something I've definitely noticed. Now, with what Josh said, of course, his approach is correct. His approach is definitely correct. There would be no space, because these people are supposed to be held out to the fullest extent of the law what they're doing, because you are endangering persons' lives, and you are actually allowing the curve to get worse. These are actually quite great aggressions.
Is kill the chicken to warn the monkeys.
The analogy is kind of kill the chicken. Okay, I understand.
Exactly, because if they just allow this to happen and just say, well, it happened, or we already accounted for this happening, that doesn't solve anybody's problem. Because one, people are just going to continuously do this, and then when they continuously do it, you're going to have a continuous rise in numbers, because they're going out there mingling with all sorts of people, going all sorts of places. It's just going to continuously rise. If you went and decided, okay, let me enforce the law a little bit here, enforce the agreement that we had, you are not answering, you're not picking up when you're supposed to be picking up, you're still within your quarantine period at this point in time. If I send somebody out and then I find you, I'm sure that's going to make news. And then when the people who actually are doing it realize that, so they're going to be sending people to your house, I can bet them are going to start sweat, because that's how Jamaican are. Which is why I said,
that's true.
Kill some chickens to warn the monkeys.
No. People have been dispatched. There have been home visits. You have persons who give wrong addresses. You have persons who live in volatile communities. I can't speak to the frequency thereof, and it also takes money.
I'm not saying the frequency of when home visits happens. I'm just saying, how often is this publicized to show that, alright, this happened?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of anybody being fined for doing this?
I've never heard that before. Never, not once.
Which is why the monkeys are still doing what they're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly. I think the layout
murder the chicken in front of the monkey.
Right, exactly. It needs to be properly, shown on public display, because I don't know anything of that nature. I believe if that was being shown to everyone for them to understand that, listen, this is the protocol, if this is breached, then I believe we would have a flat curve already, because our cultural background of who we are as people. The minute we see somebody else getting beaten for something we don't want to get beaten for, and the minute we decide to wise up. That's just how we are here.
That is exactly
That's just how we are here.
It just
But to go back to what Josh's point was earlier, right? He said that, they have ordered at this current moment 100,000 vaccines currently, so we can get our immunity up. But as we do know, in other places of the world currently, we have new strains coming out every other week or so. So with that being said, the fact that we have not yet realized that our borders need to be closed and that the curfew is not necessarily as effective as it's proposed to be, when it is that we do get these vaccines for one particular strain of the coronavirus, right? What then happens when new strains are brought into the country because we have not yet?
That is what the people are not looking at. I mean, a vaccine doesn't mean that you cannot catch the disease.
Exactly. That's not what it means. That's not what it means.
That you have a less likely chance of contracting it. I mean,
it means your body
got flu shots as a child, but we still catch the flu almost every damn year.
So which is better? Because which is better? Because I have been reading and doing research, right? And whilst there is nothing in any medical journal thus far published to say that any of the vaccines that have been mass reproduced thus far prevents you from contracting the virus itself, be it whatever strain, it does lessen the chances, so it improves the possibility of you not getting it, which is better than nothing. That is one. The other thing regarding the curfew, from my limited understanding of same, is that most activities, most social gatherings where the people are packed into places like sardines happen when the sun goes down, when business places are
You
closed.
have to understand that because this curfew is in place, people are going to start properly associating the time to which they want to do these things anyways. So now that I know my curfew is at 8 o'clock.
No. They haven't been doing that. They have been keeping the parties just the same.
Exactly, that is why I said it doesn't make a sense.
Of doing it in the day. And when I hear you talking about the sanitization of the places on a regular basis, in a regular interval and things, yes, that is good and dandy. But when you pass the banks and you pass Western Union and you pass the supermarkets, everybody out there is waiting in a line and their nose is touching the neck back of the next person. So inside to space out yourself when you have already been outside rubbing up on each other. It spells no
Which is why I said it spells no sense whatsoever. You are constrained. The reason why you have such long lines, is because if you really look at it, you'll be looking at the fact that the people who are normally saying, I need to get off work 6 o'clock so I can catch, the supermarket by probably 8 o'clock thereabout, are now deciding that, no, I need to get off faster, so I need to get there. And then the other people who are going to already be there is just going to cause more lines. Because of the constraint of the curfew, people are trying to make the time to get places before they close off. So you're going to have more people in these places than you normally have.
The curfew is not the only factor in this. We are just indisciplined. Because
there you go.
When the line is
No, Josh, Alex, Josh is right. I don't believe it has anything to do with the curfew. It is the indiscipline of our people. That is it. Period. Because even if the curfew is up on us, right? We understand. They say everywhere you go to, whether it is the ATM, whether it's the bank, wherever the case may be, even if it's a restaurant, they have things on the floor to designate that, hey, we need to have you guys social distancing. You just said that persons are outside the supermarket, all these places still packed like sardines with a nose touching the back of someone's neck. And the persons who are left,
you actually
see this happening
outside your supermarkets. There's no social distancing thing in there.
And it's not happening, but it goes back to you deciding to kill the chicken in front of the monkeys. If we don't have proper discipline or is properly broadcasted what the repercussions are, if we are in breach of certain acts to not flatten this curve, then this will just continue. Did
you see the video of the police officers that were in half a tree taking up people who were not in masks? There was, and the issue that I had with that was that they were only taking males, right? But that's a different thing, because there were females caught on video without their mask on, and either they were told, put on your mask, or they just walked past and nothing happened. They were only males. And I want to try and find that video. And
we can find that video and link it in the description so persons can get to see it for themselves.
But I don't know if it was an ongoing thing. And where I work, if you are caught with your mask, if it's covering your mouth and not covering your nose, if it's by your chin, meaning that it's not covering your nose and your
chin strap
off your face altogether, you are sent home for 3 days without pay. If you sneeze on the production floor or exhibit any signs, you're isolated, then they come and they have a conversation with you, and if that conversation from the questionnaire that's done seems like you are exhibiting any COVID related, you're sent home to go do a test. I am home right now.
But there's so much on that to unpack. Though. You said somebody have a questionnaire, like a thing they fill out, right? How can we trust for somebody? Because speaking about this vast level of indiscipline, how can we trust for somebody? Because at the end of the day, now, a lot of us want to make that money, right? And I think we'll do anything to make that money. There is somebody I know.
On the flip side of that, though, right? A lot of us would love to get out of work. So
no, that's true. I'll give you a scenario.
You're not getting paid for it.
I hope, right? You're not gonna get paid for it.
Some people don't really care.
Well, that's right. But that's the minority, Alex. That's the minority. That's not the majority. There's somebody I know where there's a person I know in the UK, right? This person has an immunodeficiency problem, right? No, it's not AIDS, so back off, right? And they own a salon, right? She owns a salon there, and when the COVID-19 just came around, it wasn't so stringent with the parameters of where you could go, but they did advise persons who could be exhibiting signs to stay home. This lady was feeling herself and decided that, listen, I need to get my nails done. I'm looking kind of bad right now. They have been doing like forever and a day, but guess what? I have COVID-19. I'm gonna go over to that place and get them done. The lady says, listen, if you're exhibiting signs or whatever, you can't come here or anything. She's all like, oh fine, I'm good, man. I don't have it. I'm good. This lady knows she's positive for COVID-19 and she went to the place anyways. And then after a couple days, because of the guilt that was in her heart, she decided that, I know I filled out your questionnaire when I came there, but I have COVID. I mean, I'm sorry. And she's all like, well, I have this immunodeficiency problem. Why would you do this to me? I mean, did you see how bad my nails look? Like, they need to be done, like, definitely, like, really bad. Can you, like, sympathize with me? The simpleness of what that is. How can you trust somebody who's not disciplined enough to be honest with you?
I mean, if person days you really can't trust human beings, but
no, but that's fine. That's fine.
This is something, because of course, in the case of your friend, if she were my friend, I would advise her to press charges for attempted murder.
I agree.
Because
that's exactly what I said too.
If you know that, I have a problem and you have something that can cause for me to... I know you said that she doesn't have AIDS, but if you give somebody AIDS intentionally, that's attempted murder.
Of course, I definitely know that. That's
a death sentence that you're shortening their lifespan. But anyway, to get back
hold on, just so we're sure about that. Acute immune deficiency syndrome is not a death sentence. We need to know that by now. There are many ways to expand your lifespan way beyond 75 years once you take your medication.
To expand your lifespan. However, no, it's not even the fact of expanding. However, what is going to cost you, not just financially, the emotional toil that would have been put on you, as well as if you had any other underlying problems to begin with. That so you're talking about a healthy person or a relatively healthy person getting it and then taking the antiretrovirals and then it carries down the load to zero. Sure, you can live a long life.
Yeah.
Just to him.
So yes, you might have some other problems because psychologically that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it would be. What I'm saying is, from a scientific perspective, it's seen as a death sentence. But for me, I think the discrimination somebody faces, and that's what Josh said, the turmoil that's placed on their life after it somewhat shortens the span of certain things.
Yes.
But like you said, you would have to press charges. I definitely agree with that as well. Absolutely press charges because you're attempting on someone's life. And if persons don't know this, I think what we need to understand here in this country is that this see no evil, hear no evil, do no evil, this see I'm blind, hear and deaf type of thing that we have is actually what is killing us at the end of the day. I'm not saying report somebody for the reasons of trying to ruin their life, but at the end of the day, it is us against us. If you understand what I mean.
But that they use the Bible to justify that. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life. It's the scripture that is so often misquoted that whole see and blind, hear and deaf.
Wait, so that's in the Bible. It said
yes.
What's that? If it said to keep it mouth shut.
Basically the Bible is saying if you're a rat, you're dead.
No, that is within context.
I'm just saying that is the context that everybody takes it in.
Right. Not everybody, because I'm not one of those bodies. I am
clearly we know this.
Alright. So it is in the context that we're speaking regarding not slandering persons and not telling lies. Being a person of integrity. Yes? So if you're integrous, then of course your life should be long. Now back to the fact of they're asking like persons questionnaire. Even in doing the test today, they would have asked me some questions. Oh, I forgot that this would be aired later. So in doing the test anyway, they would have asked me some questions to which I answered honestly to the best of my ability. Knowing that full well, whether I told them a lie or not, I would be getting tested anyway. So
Okay.
to find out whether I have it or I don't have it. If I said no, I don't have any symptoms, they're still testing me then. But in the case of work, where they will ask you, clearly they can see that you're coughing or sneezing. They would have heard. If your breath is labored, they're gonna hear it as well. So there must be something that would have been clear for them to pull you away, isolate you, and then ask. So even if you're going to lie on the questionnaire, you're still going to be sent home, because the health and well-being of everybody else is at risk. And we know that there are some persons who will not tell the truth, because of course they would rather to come to work, kill off everybody to get the little pay, which they're going to die too and not be able to spend it, because we're not looking at that. Your health is your greatest wealth.
We have the Alarica incident too.
And that.
So yes, we understand.
And the thing that I don't understand is, you are working in an environment, there are persons who test positive, and if you don't know the person and they tell you, say, yo, you know that I have COVID, and you go and test yourself, or you start feeling sick and you go and test, and you tell them, it is a hush thing. So if somebody gets COVID within a workplace, a work environment where we are breathing the same air, we touch the same door handle, don't care how many times you wipe it down, because you're not wiping it down every time somebody opens the door. We have persons who are, of course, are going to remove your mask when you're eating, you touch your face. So if one person is sick, the likelihood of that one person getting everybody else sick is great. And we know this thing is really contagious. Why is it a secret? And why haven't more effort been put into getting persons to work at home? And of course, with working at home comes the thing where people telling you that Flow and Digicel and JPS giving problem when they're not giving no problem, because they don't want to do the work but they want to get paid. Then it comes.
We can understand that, but you have to look at the risks. You have to mitigate. What the businesses are not looking at is that they're looking at their risk.
They're looking at productivity.
Losing their business, yes, productivity versus them just saying, look, you have COVID, you need to go home. Let's just not talk about this. Let's sweep it under the rug. You just need to go home. They're looking at their company and a whole, and not the individual impact of what this can cause to everybody.
So wait, Alex, does that make it right?
It doesn't make it right, and that's the problem that we have in this society.
I don't think that is wrong. If I'm going to play devil's advocate, because look at it now. If I'm not saying that things can't be better done, but in a scenario or in a situation where we know in the BPO industry, because that's what's taking over Jamaica right now, a lot of these companies are overseas. They have compliance things that have to be met, international standards that does not allow for certain things to happen, especially coming into territory that is known for scamming. We are blacklisted. 876 area code is a problem. All right. So not everybody can go home to work. Not all accounts will allow that. So here is the issue. They try to do everything that they can to mitigate against the problems, or they just shut it down altogether, because of course they can't send them to work at home, and they also don't want to have persons getting sick at work. How many persons get affected at that point? So you have to look at it from
a lot of people get affected, but you have to look at it. All right, if you're trying to play devil's advocate, you really have to look at it in two classifications. They hush it, keep it under the mat, and still keep their business going, yes. But if I'm a person with an underlying condition, let's say for example asthma, and because of your hush hush, I contract the virus, and then I pull a class action lawsuit against your company because you kept something hush hush from me when you knew that I have a problem, don't you think your clients are still going to end up pulling that account in the end of the day? So yes.
Not necessarily. And the reason why
Not necessarily.
the reason why that is so is that nowadays in interviews, not sure if you have been on any in recent, especially that you are self-employed, but in interviews it is made known. A matter of fact, I can read over my contract just to be certain that it's put there that you know the environment, the world environment, the atmosphere in which you're working now. This is COVID season, and they'll tell you right off the bat that this is a on-site job. Does not have the option to work at home yet. We're working on it, but it don't look promising. Do you have any underlying conditions? No, because you want to work. No, I don't have any underlying conditions. I don't have any asthma, I don't have no bronchitis.
But then again, say that you don't have underlying conditions, you cannot bring a lawsuit to the company.
That's what I'm saying. So unless you are an existing employee, and more likely than not, they would have asked you to sign again or do some kind of course that would advise you, or send you an email that you don't read. You have it in your inbox, so you can't bring no suit. You think that would have happened already? You think that would not have happened already? They have covered their asses quite well. Very, very well.
Well, I will not bring up a certain company, but actually, that measure was actually not taken, though it was stated in my record that I do have an underlying condition. So that measure was actually not taken. And yes, I do read all my emails and I do read all my documents. That measure was not taken.
This being in recent, this somewhere that we would have worked together?
Yes.
Yeah, but you were sent home to work.
Sent home to work, but then during the period of November to December, there was a call back to office.
For everyone?
Basically.
No, is it everyone or not everyone?
Everyone on the account, 90% of the account was called back to office.
Yes, 90% of the account was called back to office, but not 100%.
The 10% that was not called back to office were not the people with underlying conditions. Let's just put it that way.
Alright, so I'm not going to go down the road with you because I'm not.
That's why I said we're not going down that rabbit hole, but I'm just saying that's an example.
Any issues in terms of Brian having to go and get a lawyer to assist you?
I'm fine. I have one. A very good beans counsel at that, so I'm fine.
Alright, but you guys are good. Always gonna be good.
You see, because I don't have any.
You're projected, man. Josh, you're fine. In terms of this work at home, right? Because I'd love to get your ideas on this, right? You know, Josh said before about compliances that overseas accounts have to take when we're here. Do you believe that them allowing most persons the work at home grant, would this be something beneficial for persons to properly quarantine and stay out of harm's way? Do you believe that would people actually use it for that purpose? Because that's something Alex was saying earlier about persons will definitely say that, they're at home, but they're actually not there. And they're actually out and about doing things, or decide that they've had a power outage or whatever the case might want to be.
It depends on the job and it depends on the situation, yes. But as I said, it helps to mitigate it. I mean, if you're in your own space at home, you're not mingling with everybody else at the office. So it would actually lessen it, but at the same time, onus is on that person not to abuse the fact that they're working at home, make up some false excuse, and then go out and go end up contracting the virus and spreading it other places. So really and truly, it's a half and half. It just depends on, as Josh said earlier, the integrity of the person. So
outside of that though, the infrastructure is not there yet. It's not ready, especially given that
in some businesses it's not.
No, and not only just the business itself, but the telecommunications providers, the one that has the lion's share of the market now. The infrastructure still needs to be built out to support working from home, because businesses, you guys are more tech savvy than I am, but businesses would be on a different broadband in terms of their connectivity, the speed, and the
They'll be on
reliability. All right,
which is not available to home use customers,
residential persons, right?
Yeah.
So the likelihood of system issues, latency problems, outages, all of that affects not just the singular person working from home, but when all of these problems come together, now it also affects the performance and the productivity of the account itself. And I have heard of many accounts who go on the chopping block because of this. So outside of people knowing that they don't have any issues and deciding that they can't bother, because absenteeism went up for a lot of businesses, even though people are at home. And lateness. How can you be late for work?
I'm realizing a recurring theme here, and I think probably a lot of persons listening may be realizing it as well. It's seeming as a country we lack a lot of discipline, and it's the root of everything. It comes back to everything all the time as to what we're not doing, what we should be doing, because we're not disciplined people. And I mean, I find it. I mean, I think we spoke about this extensively when we were speaking about parenting. But
stick a pin for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, I can't believe I'm going to actually do this, but in defense for the telecommunication company that actually has the lion's share of the market right now when it comes on to
that four-letter word.
No, they don't have the lion's share.
They don't?
They don't actually.
Also.
On the recent, they don't. The recent consensus that was taken, they actually don't. There was a lot of.
So you're saying that Flow does not have the lion's share, Digicel does?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if that's, I don't know. So I'll have to look into that, because
they just like his excuse, and he just called those two names like that, like it was just nothing. Like it was just
nothing.
Nothing.
It's nothing, because there are only two major telecommunication providers in Jamaica, so people are not stupid, and I don't want there to be a misunderstanding.
The others, there are two major, but other people have others. But
of course, that's what I'm saying. Of course,
the ones that have the lion's share at this point in time, they've actually done a pretty good job to try to mitigate.
No, we're not bashing them, because Flow is running an ad now with their chief executive officer talking about the improvements that are being put in place, even though I keep on having outages and it's affecting everything. But of course, they say that they're doing it, and we're trusting that they're actually doing it. Digicel is not.
You are trusting that.
Digicel is not in my area, And so that's why I can't understand, for everywhere that Digicel is, Flow is. But not everywhere that Flow is, Digicel is. So I still can't understand. I am not going to say that, that is not so. But even if they do own the lion's share of the market now, however small the margin may be or large the margin may be, they're still paying Flow for the use of their fiber optics. So Flow is still making a whole heap of money, and I wish I were, in the investor or one of the big managers and thing to pocket some of that change as well. That's not to be, not yet.
Okay, we digress.
You digress. So ultimately, you think the work at home order does what? It's beneficial to persons, or it's not?
It's beneficial to persons, yes. But then, as you said, it's the discipline and integrity is the problem at this point in time.
So everything goes back to discipline. So with that being said then, guys, seeing that we lack a lot of discipline here. Clearly we do. And it always keeps coming back to that. What do you see on the horizon for us getting back to normalcy? How are you feeling about that?
There is no normal.
no normal.
This is the new normal. This is the new normal, and it's going to be the new normal for a while. The minute that we all recognize, accept, and adapt to same, we will be better for it. So I am now used to, because alright, so what has amazed me is there are less persons in the business places, but the time that you get through has significantly gone up. I am absolutely puzzled. You can only take 10 persons at a time, and for some people they include the staff as being one of the 10. And you get in there, the lines are shorter. Of course, the line is long outside, but you get in there and you still have to wait forever. The service has not improved. They moved to online, and of course, a lot of persons are not tech savvy. We take it for granted. The younger people, that everybody should be able to use online banking and thing. But when the government went to give, and I didn't get to respond to this whole the stimulus thing, $10,000 and the $40,000 business grant and the $15,000 here and the other amounts. I'm not too sure of them because I'm not applied for any, even though I think that I really should. But anyway, when they tried to do that, they came to the utter shock that a lot of people are unbanked. Majority of the population don't have a bank account, and those who do have a bank account, a lot of them is in a dormant state, or the KYC documents needs updating. Know your customer KYC needs updating. And so
if you don't have an active bank account, how do people move money around? I'm kind of puzzled. It's like under mattress type of thing.
No,
Lives are still, or society is still a bit chaotic and backward in that case. In some places, you actually end up only getting paid in a check. Some places you get paid in cash.
And some places now, I got to learn that you don't have to go to the bank to change your check. You can go to the Chinese man, sign the back of it.
Cashing places that do it too.
Right?
So.
And it gives you the money. Or no, banks are forcing you through high fees to get accounts. And them forcing you to get accounts, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's free to deposit the check," but they're not really looking in, and they're not really understanding what the bank is doing. Because yes, all right, it's free to deposit it, but then you have minimum balance fees on a lot of these accounts. You have transaction fees if you go over 2 or 3 withdrawals, they charge you. So you have to be careful, because you will end up paying more than the amount had you just gone and changed the check and have the cash. So you have to make sure that when you do choose a bank and do open an account, that you're opening the right account that best suits your need.
Well, we do have a few banks that will fit your needs quite well.
No, I'm not saying that we don't, I'm not saying that we don't.
But
And sometimes if the options are not given as...
The problem with that is that the businesses that you're working with might just not use those banks. So if you want to cash a check from another bank...
that has stopped. That I've seen that they have started to phase that out. Because where I'm working, they said BNS. You have to have a BNS account, right? And I told them, point, I'm not going to be paid through BNS, right? I don't want to be paid through BNS. I have a surgical account, I have NCBF. I do have a BNS account, but I would like to be paid to either my... Sorry?
I'm saying, doesn't that cause you to get your money a bit later?
That is fine.
That's
in my mind, that is one day.
If it's not.
Yeah, but look at it this way. We are not planning properly. That's the big issue. Because if you're paid fortnightly, right, it doesn't change, You're going to be paid on the Friday, right? So if you're using another bank, more often than not, it comes on the Friday. For Sagicor, I have gotten paid on the Saturday, which is amazing. But I would have already conditioned my mind to know that if I'm going to be paid on a Monday, the latest, then my payday is on Monday, and I plan around it. It's as simple as that. Sometimes we major on minor things. If you want to be in the Ray and get paid on the Friday, then go and open the account. But it's a choice. You do have a choice, and the choice that you took is to be basic and follow everybody because you want to get it at the same time.
Understandable. But what I'm saying is, some people, alright, you're going to say you have a choice. Some people don't really have the choice unless they're going to take a day off from work to actually go and open these accounts, which a lot of people really don't have that opportunity.
No. And that has been changing. That I can assure you has been changing, and the government has helped with that. So it has been changing. And one of the things that also happens, and why people get themselves into this, is that when you get through for a job, one of the first things you will see, or one of the first things that you will ask about, is what's the salary and the frequency of payment. And then when those are answered, they will tell you your payment options. And so people will normally have a little time between their confirmation and their start date, and they decide that they're going to do every other thing than work out how they're going to get paid, which is the most important thing. And when they get to work is when they want now for people to give them the time off to go and open the account, when they could have gone and gotten that done. And I have known of many companies that facilitate same or have a relationship with a banker that would open it, or they just take your documents and get it open for you, especially in the BPO industry, right? So you have people who waste time and think that it is the company's responsibility to make sure that you get the account open. Now they have been facilitating payments from any commercial bank. So once you have a bank account, especially now being COVID, it takes longer, and banks are, they want everything to really be streamlined online. If you don't have to come into the branch, then that is good for them. So I understand and I hear your point, but a lot of people are to be blamed. If you want to get your pay, you have to be proactive, unless it is that you're open to giving free labor, which is slavery.
You're bouncing back to the same thing, though. It's still discipline, but as I said, a lot of people don't have certain options. I mean, alright, I can put myself
but I think what he's trying to say, Alex, is this, right? He can get where you're coming from, like he said before. However,
I completely understand his point.
It does go back to how you position yourself to get what you want. He's saying that the commercial banks have made it a lot easier, and BPO sectors have made it a lot easier for these things to happen.
KYC standards for
Right,
it's way easier to open a bank account.
Right. So he's not saying that everyone has the same opportunity, but it's just that it's how you position yourself to get what you need to get, which is ultimately goes back to your level of discipline. But
exactly, which is why I said I completely understand this point. It's just that in certain cases, I mean, if you're looking at let's say for example, I'm going to put it out there, contracted workers. So it's like construction workers who just work on site. They work Monday to Friday, all day, every day. Sure, they can ask for the time off to head to the bank. With the bank lines that they are now, it's kind of hard for them to actually say, yo, give me my lunchtime or give me some extra time after my lunchtime to go off. You have to look at these people as well. Contracts when
did they get the work?
Some of them actually just got the work the same day.
Yeah, but all right, so you get the work the same day. And here is the point now. Here is the point now. Just point plain and simple. Do you want to get paid? If you want to get paid, go and join the line. Go and take the time and get the account open.
Which is why I'm saying, yes, we can understand that. But I'm saying as well, there are some people in the event that, all right, they get paid in a check, right? To cash this check, they'll have to go to that specific bank in order to not, pay the extra fees. If they have their own bank, they can just go to the ATM, or they can go in the bank itself, cash the check
for 3 days,
and it comes through.
Right.
Yes, that's fine and dandy. But I'm saying that there are some workers out there that actually, they applied for the job today, and they got the work and say, all right, you need to come work tomorrow. You start 8 o'clock. They're working from 8 o'clock right back to 5 o'clock.
And here's the issue with that. And we as a society need to do better. Way better. I've had a bank account from when I was a child, and these schools aren't helping. We used to be able to open accounts. The school would facilitate the opening of account. It was almost mandatory that you had an account. Now you cannot
back in the
enter.
day for us, wasn't that still a thing?
Yeah, you can't enter the workforce. You cannot come into the workforce knowing that you're going to be looking at job, knowing what the world is like now that we have moved from paper.
All right, so you see, that's where I'm completely agreeing with you. I am so very much agreeing with you, and this needs to be a discussion about the school system. Because really and truly, I remember back in the day when I just entered high school, opening a bank account was one of the mandatory things that needed to be done. It was one of those things where the school facilitated it.
Yeah, man, it was a rite of passage.
Exactly, and you had to keep that bank account active.
I think that's when my bank account started too.
Exactly, I have my bank account with NCB since then. It's been open since then.
Start account.
Yes, that's where it started.
I know.
This is why I tell you, at the end of the day, no matter how much I cost them, I love NCB.
It's kind of like a bittersweet moment to understand that, this ongoing problem really is ongoing because of discipline. Like, I've come to that realization now with everything.
Come to the conclusion that it's just
about discipline.
Yes, and we as a society believe we're entitled to things. Have you ever gone, you sit there, you see the news come on, and somebody with 3, 4, 5 children, I'm not bashing anybody, it's just the truth, and they will say that the government is not doing anything for them. Did the government tell you to spread your legs?
Whenever I see something like that, I always ask myself.
For how many different persons, and none of them contributing, because what they try to do is to trap a good man into taking care of the other children, and then they realize that he's not a good man. So they move on to the next, right? So this entitlement that the government is there.
Wait, hold on. A good man. So you're saying a good man is one that takes care of another man?
No. That's their thing. Or they would use
that might actually.
They make the money stretch. So when they give you money for John, you use it and take care of Sue and Sally as well. Or some people don't actually take care of the children.
Yes, that has been done since time immemorial. But I mean, at the same time, as a man, if you're gonna pick up a woman who have kids, I think you should have known what you're getting yourself into.
Yes, but let's not go segue.
Yeah, let's not segue into that.
When it comes on to the benefits, a lot of persons are saying what $10,000 supposed to do, what $40,000 supposed to do, what $15,000 supposed to do. Nigga, did you prepare? You have been working for how many years? Where is your emergency fund? You have been working for how many years and not paying NIS, not checking to ensure that your contributions are being made. But when you retire now, you expect to get something from the government. Where should they get it from? Where? Huh? These are the things that which. Okay, so yes, they say, from the tax money, but how many Jamaicans are actually paying tax? I love to hear when they say.
That's what I just said. From the tax money that they're not paying, the government should pay them this money.
GCT, what many persons always talk about is GCT because we all pay it, and we all also pay special consumption tax. That is like on your telephone services and things, because everything in Jamaica is taxed, down to the air that you breathe If they had the opportunity to tax it, they would, right? So as to ensure that everybody
I think
contributes.
that's kind of. I think the air tax is kind of included in GCT and STC. So we just gotta. Yeah, we just gotta live with it.
When you have to go to the hospital to get nebulized, you're paying for a year, so it is tax in some way, shape, or form.
It's still tax. It's still tax.
They think that, all right, because you're paying GCT. GCT is not going towards the national insurance scheme. It doesn't go towards it, right? Your NHT benefits have been used for many things, but it's not necessarily going towards funding social security or welfare. We as a people need to move away from this whole entitlement and dependency upon the government and look after our own self, seek after our own development and financial security. Because if we have not yet seen it through our parents and grandparents, the government is going to leave you to starve. So sit down there and don't do nothing. Don't save your money. Spend and live it up. Live it up. Be lit. Do all of your hairstyles. Eat
Live your best life.
Live your best life. And then when you're all shriveled and grey, cannot afford health care, become sick, trying now to torment your poor children who don't like you because you never raised them well or something or the other, right? And then you walk up and down and tell people, so you see them, buckle spit in them and way. Or you say, the government not doing nothing for me, I'm not voting for a soul or not. I hate to hear it. I hate to hear it. And many a countries have citizens just like that across the Caribbean. But you have found that the more advanced nations within the region have a different mentality. Totally different mentality. They are not dependent and they hold their leaders accountable because of that said non-dependency.
Well, that was well said.
But then again, we can't change what has been ingrained in the system of.
No, but it can change. It can change.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I think if it's not changed too,
you know how we do our part?
We just have to make sure that
how we do our part is not just with our children and our household, it is also through this very medium and through other mediums as well. All of the friends and people that come into contact with us to spread the word and to teach. So we first have to make sure that we learn it ourselves so that we can impart the knowledge. Now,
I said we can't change it, but we can try to make the difference.
I'm not wealthy yet, but I'm going to be wealthy. And then I'm going to try everybody that is willing to listen and to put in the work to get wealthy. I'm not going to be giving away nothing. Right? I have been learning the word no, and I've been practicing the word no. No. I will help you where you're at to elevate yourself. Because what I've come to realize, people will come and gouge out your 2 eyes and join for them 2 to make 4, leaving you blind, and then they go on and do it to somebody else, and it's not
and then
good.
Still tell you say ungrateful because you never give them your tongue to.
Because you never give them. Yeah. Thank you kindly, right? And the minute that you tell them no, you're the worst person.
The worst person. They've never seen nobody like you before. You're going to.
You are the very essence of me, the very essence of the devil. The devil incarnate, that is you. Nothing good because you tell them no.
I've been called that before.
That's fine.
Likewise.
I mean the exact words, the devil incarnate. I've been called that before, and I'm quite proud because I said no. So, hey,
saying no is important, guys, and anyone listening, it's very important to say no. Not knowing when to say no can get in some very unsavory situations that you don't need to be in. Trust me. So learn to say no every time you should. But this session has been quite a mouthful. I think we're able to unpack our vaccines, strains, and getting back to normal. But it all came back around to definite discipline. and how we manage ourselves. And like what Josh was saying just now about entitlement, which is definitely things we need to learn on, focus on to change as a nation. Absolutely. But of course, that was a decent episode of Unpacking. I hope our listeners listening with us definitely got to really unpack with some of the things we're talking about. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we meet every Monday at 9 to discuss anything that is riveting to us so we can properly unpack. So from us here in the studio, thank you for your time and thanks for listening, and enjoy the rest of your night.